Well, we are live and I am so sorry for the delay. Can I tell you it is technical challenges galore today? Rogers is not, I'm so not happy with Rogers right now. My Wi Fi went down and nothing would connect. But you know what? It's Wellness Wednesday and we're going to mind our mind. And I'm going to mind my mind and stay sane today. And I hope you're staying sane today, no matter what is happening in your life. No matter what is happening, we can make things go right. Okay, it's time for the Victory Speak show, and I'm excited today. And you know what? This is telling me that we are really going to have a great show tonight. And I invite you to get comfy, get yourself a drink, get yourself a snack, and you know what? Get a notepad. You never know when those wisdom keys are going to drop. And of course, I love to have a little music as we start the show. So you're listening to the sounds of Calabash. They are Toronto place. They are Caribbean jazz with the steel pan as the focal instrument. And this group is led by Anthony Pierre. This song is played, the pan is Darren Shepherd out of Trinidad and Tobago. He's also Canadian. And so, people, welcome to the Victory Speaks show. It's the inspired conversations and it's where iron sharpens iron. And I'm your host, Nicole Waldron, your voice of victory and your mental fitness coach. And I'm on a mission, people, to inspire you to live a life of victory, a victorious lifestyle. You see, we all need to cultivate that victory mindset as we mind our minds. We have many conversations all the time, good, bad, funny, you name it. And I've had countless conversations just like you with various people doing wonderful work. And I wanted to share them with you. They say sharing is caring. And my guests today, let me tell you, they are all inspirational. It's one of those shows where I don't just have one, I don't just have two, I don't just have three, I have five guests tonight. I'm so deeply honored to have the team from Stella's Place here with us. And Stella's Place is making a significant difference in the lives of young people and addressing their mental health and their families. So, what's Stella's Place? What's the Get Real Film Fest that we've been talking about that's happening next week? Well, if you're tuned in, you're going to find out. Let me tell you, sharing is caring. So, share, share, share. Tell your friends. They want to hear this show tonight. They want to know about these amazing people that I am going to be speaking with tonight. And so let's get started. I'm going to start by introducing them and then I'm going to bring them up to the victory stage. First up is Stella Green Sanderson. Stella was born and raised in Toronto. After graduating high school, they spent 4 years in and out of mental health treatment in Canada and the United States. Once Stella got home, they started to get more involved in music, earning a certificate in sound engineering from the Recording Arts Canada and touring with their band, The Fox and the Moon. During this time, they also worked at the JCC as a preschool teacher. Several years ago, Stella left the JCC to work and travel with Village Harmony, an organization based in Vermont that teaches and performs traditional world folk music. They have been on 2 professional singing and teaching tours in Europe and have spent time learning and studying music all over the world, including South Africa, Korea, and the Republic of Georgia. After several years of traveling and performing, Stella and their wife got married this past summer and have permanently relocated to Toronto, where they are now working at Karma Co-op. And I'm all about co-ops because I live in a co-op, just saying. Next up is going to be Dagmar Schroeder, Communications, Marketing, and Stewardship Manager at Stella's Place. She is a fundraising professional with 12 years of experience in fund development and 15 years of board level engagement in volunteer and nonprofit organizations. Dagmar's work in nonprofit organizations has allowed her to apply skills to address issues and further causes that she cares about deeply. Dagmar believes that as a society, we have a shared responsibility towards our marginalized population and must work to reduce inequities wherever possible. Her work is guided by passion and compassion and a belief that positive change is possible one person at a time. Next up to the stage is going to be Sarah Nicole Rowe, cultivating a deep passion for the arts her whole life. She is a storyteller at heart. Graduating from Ryerson University's renowned radio and television arts program, Sarah has continued to grow her career in the industry. In 2018, Sarah successfully wrote and directed Purple Waves, a mental health based short film, premiering it a year later with Snow Show, an arts based mental health organization co founded by Sarah and other mental health advocates in her community. The knowledge acquired from her earning her BA, combined with the hands on experience she has gained as a writer, director, choreographer, and creative director alike, makes Sarah a diverse member of any time. Sarah looks forward to continuing the work she is doing as an advocate and a content creator and bringing deep, joyful, honest, and profound stories to life. Next up is Michelle Melles, and she is a seasoned director, writer, and producer with a background in independent documentary media, broadcast television, and magazine journalism. She has worked for some of the top broadcasters and television shows in Canada and has written for newspapers including The Global Mail and women's lifestyle magazines Bust and Find Your Pleasure. A fierce believer in the personal is political, she helped to create, launch, and produce the internationally syndicated docuseries Sex TV. In 2018, she co-founded the boutique production company Parallel Vision Productions, seeking to tell original and engaging stories, videos, and documentaries that challenge preconceived ideas and offer unique ways of perceiving the world. In 2020, she was the recipient of the Social Sciences and Humanities Research Council Award. Next up is Alex Kowetsky, Creative Marketing Coordinator at Stella's Place. Alex is a designer and photographer working in the areas of mental health, climate justice, and human rights. Coming from a place of lived experience, Alex strives to be intentional in her practices. She works to progress various social issues through ethical storytelling, informed communications, and design justice. These things intersect to form Alex's philosophy, Slow Down, which incorporates mindfulness into each and every method of creating. Alex has worked with organizations in mental health, climate justice, human rights, gender equity, and fair trade fashion. Well, folks, welcome to the Victory Speak stage. Stella, Dagmar, Alex, Sarah, and Michelle. Woohoo! Do I have everybody? Do I have everybody? I think I have everybody. I think I have everybody. Welcome, everybody. How you doing?
Oh, good.
Great.
Thanks for
Good.
having me.
Good. Now, I know we had some technical glitches. I think we were all panicking at one time. What's going to happen? Who's going to run the show? They almost had to do the show by themselves tonight, and I was just going to be sitting in the background. That would have been fun. But you guys are so amazing. Well, so I'm so glad you're all here tonight. So welcome to everybody live and on the live. I got Danny Stone. Coach Stone is in the building. Checking in. Coach Stone is here. Ebony is here. Greetings, Ebony. Hi, Etta Marie, checking in. Joan Pierce checking in. Wendy Jones is checking in. And for those of you on YouTube, be sure drop us a message in the chat because we will see you too. I'm just saying hi to the folks who said hi to me and to us from Facebook. So if you have any questions for the team, if you have any comments, drop it in the comments. Show them your love. Show them that you are happy that they are joining us tonight. Okay, so enough of me yapping away. Hey, Vivian. Look, Vivian, drop something in the chat. Vivian's my girl. So happy to be here tonight. So good to see you, Viv. So, Dagmar, how has the pandemic affected you and what have you learned from it?
Wow, that's an unexpected question.
I know. I got to drop it like that.
Not at all what I was planning to speak about. The pandemic has affected me in many ways, both personally and professionally. I'm an introvert by nature, so the isolation has not affected me as some other people. What has deeply impacted me is the racial reckoning that has taken place since last summer. And it has led to a deep, deep process of reflection and transformation for me. I would say that's the biggest change for me, the biggest impact.
I like that, reflection and transformation. That's so significant. Stella, how about you? How has the pandemic affected you, and what have you learned from it personally?
Well, I guess me and my partner moved countries in the middle of a pandemic.
Wow.
Yeah, trying to get some renos done. So we've been bopping around my parents' house, and now we're somewhere else. So we're feeling very unsettled, which has been difficult, especially my partner coming from a different country, America,
Right.
United States.
And she's amazing.
She's amazing. She's great. Not different there, but it's just different enough that everything's like a little harder. And I think that she's not able to work, and so that's been really difficult for her.
Right.
As well as I am normally singing and traveling, and both of those things are big no-nos.
Yeah.
Especially together. So it's been like a whole new trying to figure out what I'm doing and what can I do right now. Maybe not forever, but what can I do right now just to kind of keep myself going in any sort of normal fashion. Yeah.
I almost feel a Stella's Place concert coming on. I'm just saying. I just feel something. I don't know. Michelle, how about you? How are you doing?
I'm okay. It's been difficult. I think it's I barely leave the house, so it's like a bit of Groundhog Day. You feel that like every day, and everything's on screen.
Yes.
So it's very strange. Like today, even I went for a walk, and it's almost like this disconnect between reality and digital reality that I'm feeling. And so I was trying to do some mindfulness, and Alex, you're into mindfulness, so just breathing and trying to connect with nature. And I think this whole experience is, like Dagmar was saying, just has opened up like this whole different way of thinking. I really do feel like the earth is kind of telling us all to wake up. And so I feel like it's really like in a way, it's like when this is over, I hope we don't go back to the consumer frenzy and wrecking the climate. And so it's like this opportunity. I'm a bit afraid of where we're going. That's basically where I'm at. And I want to be really profoundly conscious of where we step and how we step into the future.
I like that I like it that the earth is trying to tell us to wake up. I like that. And I think it really is, because when you look at what's happening around the world, and especially when it comes to relation of earthquakes, just thinking about the volcano that just happened in the Caribbean and things like that, the things are just shifting and the world is just telling us different things. And like last week, we had winter and spring and then spring again all in one day in Toronto, at least. If you're living in Toronto, that's what we had. 3 seasons, 2 seasons in one. So it kind of tells me the earth is saying, wake up, and we got to be a little more conscious. And so, Sarah, how about you? How is the pandemic affected you, and what have you learned from it?
The pandemic honestly changed my whole entire life. I went through very low lows and very high highs. I was in intensive therapy for a long time and really got my mental health in check. I couldn't avoid it anymore. And also because I was in such close quarters with my family, they were seeing the effects firsthand. So I couldn't just brush it off and be like, I'm fine. Because my dad would be like, but you were crying in your room for 48 hours. So I literally know you're not. So it was a newfound accountability. And in terms of the racial awakening that's happened, I was actually started the pandemic in a mixed race relationship and had to end that relationship because there was just a lot of not wanting to learn and not wanting to educate. And it was mainly my ex's family, but it had a really big impact on us. And since we were quarantining with them because we couldn't go anywhere, tightened everything. And around the time we broke up, we had a conversation where we said, we feel like if it wasn't a pandemic and tensions weren't so high, we would have maybe been able to work through it, because it was so much, so fast. And I just didn't have the bandwidth as a woman of color, and also going through my mental health to like teach and explain constantly.
Yes.
We had to call it, and that was really hard. And it's just been a lot of big change and a lot of hard decisions I've had to make throughout this pandemic to put myself first and better my mental health. But it's a sense of accountability and decision making that I've never done before, because I've always been able to distract myself with outside. So it's kind of almost been for the best, because it's made me build a backbone for myself and not be a doormat with myself, if that makes any sense. So it's been really difficult, but it's always reaped benefits. So it's kind of, in short, I'm okay. It's been
You know
okay.
what? I love it. I love it. I love your transparency, and I love that you're keeping it real, because so many people aren't able to keep it real and recognize that, you know what, this has created some changes in all our lives. And the fact that you took ownership and took, you know what, I need to make this change, and then be vulnerable and truthful with your own self. I mean, that takes courage. And there are people who are not, you know, there are people in their 60s and 70s who are not even doing that. So the fact that you're doing this now, let me tell you, because I know some of them, the fact that you're doing this now
Thank you
speaks
so much.
volumes. If we were close, it's a good thing we're not close together, because we'd all be hugging and having a cry.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. But you know, I'm proud of you for that, because it takes courage. It takes courage to sit down within our own selves, and even to end a relationship. That takes courage to say, you know what, right now, and you never know what can happen a year from now, 2 years from now, but the fact that you put yourself first, I think that's one of the things that we need to learn how to do as we mind our minds and get well in our own mental health and wellness, is learn how to put ourselves first. So thank you for doing that. Already the conversation is so happy. Okay, Alex, how has the pandemic affected you, and what have you learned from it?
Yeah, it's been very weird. I can agree with a lot of what has been said already. I definitely feel the screen fatigue, as Michelle mentioned before. There's definitely a lot of positives and negatives that I've felt. I also feel that like that extra time to like work on yourself and your own mental health that Sarah mentioned as well. Throughout the pandemic, I feel like I've almost had like more authenticity with myself as well. I've had more time to reflect on who I am, and less outside judgment, I guess, from the world, which has been really nice in a way. I definitely miss a lot of my friends and going out, and yeah, I'm looking forward to the warmer weather when I can spend more time outside, definitely. But yeah, it's been a learning experience for sure. I'm very grateful to like have employment and have housing and everything that I have. So yeah, it's been interesting.
No, I really appreciate that, because it's the reflection time. And I know for me, it's like I've been able to reflect. I've enjoyed the quiet time. And sometimes, you know, I missed part of the early lockdown when the street was quiet. I was recognizing like, oh my God, it's so noisy outside. Can they just stop and go home and just be locked down for just another 2 months, and let's just get it all together? Let's just go walking or biking or something. Okay, so for those live and on the replay, welcome. We're here talking with this phenomenal group of people from Stella's Place, and we're going to get deeper into the conversation. So Dagmar, tell me, what's Stella's Place? What's it all about? How did it all get started? And I'm sure, Stella, you can feel free to interrupt her at any time. We're all in our living room. Those people who are listening in, they're just, you know, they're peeping into our conversation. It's just us.
Right. And I mean, I'm the person telling the story secondhand, and Stella is sitting right next to me on the screen.
You know what? You can tell.
I will give you the what's the word? The official introduction of Stella's Place. Stella's Place is it's an organization for young people, 16 to 29, that provides services for their mental health. It's an integrated service hub, a community-based center that is providing day programming. And it has a holistic approach, which means we offer both clinical services, intensive therapies, GP, psychiatry, but also recovery services or low barrier services such as yoga and fitness and arts-based programming. The organization opened doors in 2016 and is located in the downtown Toronto in the Richmond and Spadina area, and is soon moving to our own home on Bathurst and Queen, or near Bathurst and Queen. I don't know if you want me to go on about Stella Space. What else can I say about Stella Space? It's an organization that was built to fill a gap, a service gap, a very dire service gap in the city. If any of you listening are parents or family members who have tried to find services for your children, you know what I'm speaking about. Young people in particular are suffering the brunt of the impact right now from the pandemic, and they have not had adequate services before the pandemic, and now they're really struggling. This age cohort is underserved. When children age out of the child system, they go right into the adult system where they're not well taken care of, and the result is that they often drop out. And so many of the mental health problems only occur during adolescence and early adulthood, usually before age 25. And that's when young people need age-appropriate supports. They need peers, they need people who look like them and who sound like them, who understand them, who relate to them on a, as Stella's partner put it so well, on an anxiety level, a relatable anxiety level. They go through the same problems. They have the same fears. You know, will I get a job? Will I get into this program? What is my future going to look like? Will this relationship last? So they're all facing similar problems, and they need support from people who can relate to them. They need to feel welcomed and included. They need to be part of the decision making. And all of that is provided by Stella's Place, which places great emphasis on co-design and peer support. And I think I'll stop there, and maybe Stella, you want to...
You can jump in, Stella.
Okay. Yeah, so I guess Stella's Place is pretty much everything that I didn't have. I was fortunate enough to be able to go to the States to get intensive therapy. And sort of at the time, I was, you know, I had to switch schools at the end of high school. I couldn't finish where I was, and was sort of floating. I couldn't think ahead. I couldn't think of any future really. And maybe not so much in like a really dark way, but in a sort of really like ambivalent, numb kind of way. And so I basically said no to going to therapy, to going to treatment, inpatient in the States. And, you know, it was very rigid and it had its benefits. The unit I was on had a lot of sort of people my age. I was definitely on the older side. But like Dagmar said, you know, you age out of a child service program and then you're like with people having midlife crises or, you know, so many other different problems and issues that come up that you're just not there yet. And so we kind of, I mean, obviously my parents came to visit me, and I was in Chicago and Boston and Vermont, and then Boston again. But, you know, they would see these programs and they would see like what, or they would hear from me. I was like, oh, you know, like, oh, it's only these people going to the gym because they're in the like eating disorder program. It wasn't really offered openly to everyone else, or we all had to do this one kind of therapy when like, what about, like we all did art therapy, and I remember trying to start like some music thing, and people were kind of like, you know, it takes some leadership from maybe at least a couple people. Maybe I wasn't the most confident then, but Stella's Place is like all these little pieces that we're missing, and like squished together in this place that is really about community and really is the opposite of intimidating. It's really sort of like welcoming, and it's got like, you know, like the walls are cool and the colors are cool and like just the atmosphere itself. So not to mention the peer support, that was something for sure that like for me, I kind of like, I'm a little, not embarrassed to say, but like sometimes I feel a little shame around the fact that, you know, I don't really feel like I got better in treatment or whatever, but I think that actually for me, what was really important looking back, I don't think I would have ever been able to realize this, but looking back was the group therapies and the living with people who were, you know, who were all my peers. And actually, I think those relationships were the most important thing for me. And so to have that integrated in a structured and easy, accessible way in Stella's place is incredible.
Thank you for sharing that. Thank you for sharing that, Stella, because it's so good for that people to understand the challenges that one can face, and especially if you don't have the right care, and the fact that your parents and your mom took this on and wanted to do this. One of the things that sets, and Dagmar, Stella, you can jump in here, anybody, that makes Stella's place unique to any other organization right now in what you offer?
I can start if you want. And
Sure,
then you
go ahead.
can say what I don't say.
I love you guys.
I'm not super involved in the day-to-day, so I'm like, I mean, sort of like we've been saying, it's like this peer support thing and this collaboration and co-design is something, I mean, I've never heard of it before,
Right.
Especially on such a kind of, I mean, it started small, but on a sort of growing level. And I remember being part of these early groups where young adults from all walks of life would come, and we'd sort of have these brainstorming sessions. And it was really cool. And it was a really great way to meet like-minded people, or not like-minded people, but in very, you know, having similar experiences. And I think with Stella's Place is one of the things is that it's not like you go in, you do your thing, then you leave. It's
Right.
like it's an open door. It's like a revolving door. And I think part of the one thing that in the treatments places that I was at, that I really missed was the kind of the follow-up and the like, oh, once you're done, you're not like done forever. Like you can come back, you can be a peer supporter. You can still be supported by your peers. You can still contribute and then be involved, and sort of while you're finding your place in the world, especially at this age. I mean, I've aged out, I guess, but I still, I don't know what I'm doing still. So to know that you can always still go back and have the support is something that I think is really it's sadly unusual. Yeah, I don't know. Dagmar, do you want to?
I think you said it really well, Stella. I think as you were speaking, what really sets us apart is our community and our focus on community, and the fact that once you are in the community, you are not asked to leave. You're not coming for treatment and then you're released and you're gone. And the community also means that we have a very open door policy when it comes to engagement. So we have an entry space in our physical location that is like a walk-in cafe, and people can come and hang out and engage at their own pace. So there's no time pressure. There's no financial pressure. There's all the programs are offered for free. And again, as Stella mentioned, I haven't heard of a place that was built specifically with research going into, so what do young people want to see in their healthcare? What would that look like? And then intensive research went into building that, both with focus groups with young adults. I think there were almost 100 young adults that were being asked for their input in focus groups leading up to the building of programs.
Right.
And plus international research into best practices. So before Stella's Place even developed its first program, there were 2 years of research.
Wow.
And so I think that really shows in the results. And then continuing. We have a young adult council that advises on every program and gives feedback and also provides input into the evaluation of each program. So the programs are being tweaked consistently based on input from young adults. So I think the difference is that we are authentic in the way we are listening to young people and are not paying just lip service to it.
Yeah, that is so unique. And one of the things I recognized as I got introduced to Stella's Place was to the age that you serve. Like you're serving a wider gap for young people from 16 to 29, whereas some places just stop at 18 and some stop at 24. You go all the way to 29, recognizing that young people are changing and they still need the support to that age. So I really love that. And I mean, like, if I recall, and I'm going to say we. So what some people don't know live and on the replay, I'm now part of the family advisory committee at Stella's Place. So you're going to hear me say we a lot because this is my family now. This is my part of my extended family, and there are more than 500 adults and families that to participate and get service from Stella's Place. What services are offered for families, Dagmar?
At this point, we refer out to organizations such as Outreach and Response. Sorry, now I'm Families Outreach and Response, I think it's called. And the Family Navigation Project at Sunnybrook. And in our Family Advisory Council, we have just started developing workshops where parents with lived experience provide support to other parents with lived experience. So that's the newest program. It's just launching. It will be on next week.
Yay!
Mental Health Week.
Yay! So we're going to talk some more about that later on. So let me tell you, next week, Tuesday, you better lock in the time, 8 p.m., because you want to be, especially if you're a family member or you know someone who needs some support or some information, there's going to be a free webinar for you to partake in. How has the pandemic affected like the programming at Stella's Place? What have you had to do to shift? Because now that, everything's online and stuff like that, well, how have you had to shift? Anybody can jump in. Don't all jump in at once.
Well, it's been a huge shift, and it's been a rapid shift to within a week. We had all of our major programs shifted to online, so it's been massive. It's been a big learning curve for every single person and department involved. Some of our programs are not easily adaptable to the digital world, and that's our walk-in, drop-in cafe. And
Right.
Our participants have really felt that. They have felt the isolation, and some of these pieces you cannot simulate as well online as you can in person.
Yeah, not everybody has access to online. And before we get even to the film festival, it would be nice to the mobile chat app that you have, the Beanbag Chat. Tell us a little bit about that.
Alex, do you want to jump in so I don't do all the talking? Okay.
Sure, I can. Beanbag Chat is one of our services that we offer. It's staffed by our peer supporters. So it's a free app that any young adult ages 16 to 29 can download onto their phone and chat with a peer supporter. We're open 4 nights of the week. And really it's for any young person to chat with a peer supporter about anything that they're going through and get support that way. And it's a really great way for privacy reasons as well, because like a lot of young folks are living with their family members and maybe don't want to share like the therapy or access that they're seeking. So it's a great way to get very like indiscreet support through text message. So we have a few partnerships going with some universities as well to offer Beanbag Chat there. So maybe, I don't know, Dagmar, if you have anything more to say on the future of Beanbag Chat, but that's kind of like the basics of it.
We saw a huge uptake last year. The use of Beanbag Chat has tripled. It's been the most accessible way of getting instant support at Stella's Place. Again, Alex mentioned the privacy. And it's also it's what some people may not know, it's a fulsome intervention. So when you chat with a peer supporter, they will take the time to make sure this person is fully supported, and the average chat lasts 45 minutes.
Wow.
So it's not a quick call on a helpline, it is a real intervention.
So it's definitely different. It's nothing like the kids' health phone. This is totally different, where you're actually getting some more robust support.
Yes.
If you're having, okay, so and I know it's getting some upgrades right now, so it's a little bit on pause, but people look out for it. It's an app that you may want to download and have and share with your loved ones and share with young people. We have a lot of people dealing with young people here on the line. So welcome everyone who's just joining us live and on the replay. Susan Conway says so much of what all you have shared is very relatable. Thank you. Um, Lots of love to everyone being shared. Love it. For the first time hearing about Stella's Place. Woohoo! Um, Support from these organizations is so important to have. Yes, and Wendy is a teacher, so she's dealing with young people all the time, and so we have some really great listeners on here tonight. So we heard a little bit about Stella's Place, and I'm going to tell you guys, if you want to learn more about Stella's Place, you got to go onto the website. You got to follow them on Instagram. You got to follow them on Facebook, because you're just getting a taste about Stella's Place tonight, and we're going to have them. I know we're going to have a continuing conversation throughout the months to come. I'm going to bring on Donna, which is Stella's mom, if we can convince her to get on here. We're going to have some of the workshop leaders to come and talk to families. So we're going to have lots of fun in the next little while about Stella's Place. So next week is Mental Health Week, and you're launching, and I think it's for the first time, the Get Real Film Fest, and I'm excited about it. Woohoo! I'm like, ba 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 ba. Yep. So, who wants to go with it? I don't know if Alex wants to go, Michelle wants to go. I don't know, Sarah wants to go. But what is the film festival, and why did you start it?
Yeah, I can speak to that. So we started the film festival to provide an opportunity for young people to connect online. We're in the third wave of the pandemic right now, and the third lockdown in Toronto. So a lot of young folks are experiencing isolation and aren't able to connect with people who are the same age as them. So we really wanted to provide a space for people to connect online and to come together to watch films that all relate to mental health. We also have a lot of the films are either made by or featuring people in our community who have made and been a part of amazing works of art. So we wanted to celebrate that as well. We have a lot of events throughout the week. We have, I think, about 13 films and a few panel discussions as well. So they're on each night of Mental Health Week, which is next week, the 3rd to the 7th. And each night will be a film, 2 films actually, followed by an activity of some sort, whether that's a panel discussion. We also have the family to family workshop that you mentioned already. We also have a check-in for young adults over Zoom that young adults can just come connect with each other, and Stella's Place peer supporter as well. And then at the end of the week, to wrap it all up, we have a reflection activity where we can come together and reflect on the week together, what we've learned and what feelings have come up. And then we'll end the week on a guided meditation from one of our clinicians at Stella's Place.
That sounds supercalifragilistically amazing. Just saying. Okay, before I get into, because we have 2 of the filmmakers here tonight, so people, I'm telling you, I'm just going to be honest. I had some technical glitches on here tonight, and this beautiful Wi-Fi of mine decided that it was not going to show up. However, well, we won that battle, and so now we are going to show the trailer, if it will show. See, it's not showing. I'm telling you, we're going to add it to the stream again. Maybe it's coming. It's coming. Maybe I may have to do it again. Okay, it's not ready to show. So it does. The trailer doesn't want to show yet. We're going to give it a little moment for the film festival, but it's on my page. That being said, it's technology. It's a pandemic, and even the computer is having a virus moment. But it's not going to win. We're going to win tonight. So Michelle, I'm heading to you. You're
Okay.
one of the filmmakers in the film festival. And you see, I think I'm frozen. Okay, hopefully I'm not frozen anymore. Michelle, tell us about your film and what it's about in the film festival.
Sorry. So my film is called Drunk on Too Much Life, and it's a feature-length personal documentary film. And it's so basically when my daughter Karina was 6 years old, she kind of started to fear the idea of going crazy and poetically described it as being drunk on too much life. And then she actually became, weirdly, she kind of almost anticipated something was going to happen. And when she was 21 at a camp in Northern Ontario, she basically had her first psychotic break. And at that time, we didn't really understand what was happening. And we had no other help but through the hospital system. So we immediately went into the hospital system, and we had no other ways of understanding Karina's experiences except for what, the biomedical paradigm, basically. And that, unfortunately, that treatment didn't work as planned. The doctors are like, if you should take some medication as promised, it'll stabilize her. And this didn't happen. And she was cycling from episode to episode. And we, as a filmmaker, I've worked in my whole life in film and TV. My approach was like an artist, like, okay, I want to start to expand, like I want to document my life. Like it's like, Foucault wrote that you make life into a work of art. And so I started to document our journey of recovery and how do we expand our definitions of what madness is. And so we learned, and this is tying it back to Stella's place, one of the things that we learned was this lack of community care. It's either almost like the home, the hospital, or the streets. And so there was no middle ground and no holistic way of looking at mental health care. And so, like Donna Green, Stella's mom, I was looking for like a holistic way of healing. And that wasn't offered in the hospital, which was mostly medication based. It was, if you take your medication, everything should lead to healing. And that didn't happen. And we learned quickly too that, parents and doctors want to have a straight road to healing. And that doesn't really happen. It's recovery is like I say in the film, it's bumpy, it's crooked. It's like a series of awakenings. And so the film is our journey from like, gray institutional hospitals to poetry and music and connection and greater meaning and expanded definitions of these mental states. Basically, it's like me learning a different language from mental illness to learning about the connections between Karina's states and music and art and spirituality and even seeing things, visions, So essentially, anyway, I don't want to take too much more of the time, but that's kind of...
You can take all, Michelle, this show is for you guys. This show
okay.
is for us, for people. You can take all the time you want. I've got nowhere to go. Those who want to leave can come back and watch it on a replay. I'm just saying.
So then the film kind of, it's almost like the hero's journey. And the hero's journey is like, it's like, I don't know if you guys are familiar with that, but it comes from this guy named Joseph Campbell, who's a mythologist. And so it takes us on, where you leave, you have this crisis, you have to leave your home, and on the path, you meet all these people, these mentors, and then you learn something new and you come back and you share your knowledge. And so that's where Karina's at right now. She wanted to become a peer support worker. Along the way, we met Gabor Mate, and we sat with him in his kitchen in Vancouver for like an hour and a half. And Gabor is like one of the top doctors, and I don't know, he's an expert in mental health, basically. And he taught us a lot of things. And so we learned, it's like a journey. And along in this film also, there's like poetry, a lot of animation, all the music's original. So I wanted the film to be like artistic and beautiful, and it's a love letter. It's a love letter from me to my daughter. So I started shooting it in 2016. So it's been a real labor of love.
I forgot to tell everybody, walk with your tissues. That right there. It's a love letter to you and your daughter. Wow.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It's my love letter to her. And so it's been a process of learning, that's for sure. And so it's me sharing this with my daughter and the people around.
Okay, I know the host is not supposed to cry, but that is beautiful that you did this and that you've had the courage and the ability and the resilience. Like, wow. Michelle, hats off. The hearts are going up. I can see on my phone. I have it on the phone. The hearts, the love. We have one person here saying, I can relate to this. And someone else is saying that the journey of life is a mental case. Thank you guys for your service. This is it is so profound. So thank you for doing this film. I am so looking forward to the film festival. And I know if I have to shift the show times next week, I don't know what time my shows are starting next week because I have to attend the whole film festival. Thank you, Michelle. And you said holistic healing, and you were able to navigate and not just do it about the medication, and you were able to find holistic care. And so many parents that I know I talk to on a weekly basis, we're looking for these different ways and the effects of medication and managing to know what works for you, what doesn't work for you, trying to find alternative methods. So, and breaking the stigmas and changing the narrative. You said redefining madness. That's a book cover. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
That's a book cover.
For us, it was like learning another story. It's like I know that one of the people that we interviewed is Sasha DeBrule from the United States. He's amazing, and he talked about that. It's like, he said he doesn't take medication to control his illness. He takes medication to control his superpowers. Or, like he talks about, why can't we look at our experiences as dangerous gifts, not as something to cure, but as, things to nurture and to take care of. And so it's like thinking about things and using a different language and a different story, because that stories really influence how we see ourselves and how we see each other and how we see the world.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's totally, and people don't realize it. And last week I was fortunate to have an amazing neuroscientist on, and she was talking about our minds are our brains and our brain is our mind. And when people understand that and how that's what it is, we take medication for heart disease, cancer, everything else, and there's a reason. It's treating something. It's treating your thoughts live in your brain, and if people understand that, it's just that your brain is doing something different. And it has to come back into alignment. So I thank you so much. So, Sarah, my beloved, you have a film in the film festival.
Yes, I do.
Tell us about your film. What's the name of your film?
My film's called Purple Waves. So I graduated from Ryerson 2 years ago now. Wow. And it was a project I made for my graduating thesis. So I really wanted to write a story that had representation of the BIPOC community, but also address mental health in a real way, because just like Stella was talking about the gap in treatment with people who are young and what actually needs to happen, and it being like a joint growth. I saw that in film and television, mental health was shown in really one way, and it was more often than not middle-aged white women, or because men aren't really talking about mental health at all, which is another thing I wanted to tackle. But it really was just people depressed, and they were in a dark room and they didn't leave, and that was the representation of depression. And so growing up as a kid, I didn't coin my symptoms as depression or anxiety because it wasn't what I saw on TV. I am very high functioning. I don't sit in my bedroom for days on end in a dark room. There are a lot of people in my life who don't even know that I suffer from depression, anxiety, or have depression, anxiety. So I really wanted to create a film that represented that and show depression, anxiety in young people in a real way. I also wanted to tell a really good love story because I love a good love story with a tragic ending, and Purple Waves does have a trigger warning for suicide. It is a very sad ending. You don't see the suicide specifically, but it is insinuated and discussed. And I also wanted to make a movie for the Black community because especially in Caribbean culture and in African culture, but I'm Caribbean, so I'll speak on the Caribbean culture. Mental health isn't talked about. It's not discussed. You're fine. Just go to bed, sleep. My dad used to always tell me, just go to sleep. Sleep will come. And I'd be in the middle of an anxiety attack. And I didn't have the words to vocalize that because I didn't know what it was yet. But it is very much a brushed under the rug kind of situation. So it's an all Black cast, or a cast of all people of color. And I just really wanted to represent mental health in a way that I related to, and also in a way that was palatable. If you just want to watch a tragic love story, you can watch the movie. If you want to talk about mental health, you can watch the movie. It does both in a really beautiful way, and I'm really, really, really proud of it. I co-wrote it with an amazing writer named Hunter Gutman when I was in university, and then I rewrote it. I'm sorry, my phone is going off. My landline never rings. I'll give it a moment.
Because there's somebody seeing you right now live somewhere. They want to be in a conversation.
Yes. And then after me and Hunter co-wrote it for the course, when it came to film it, I readapted it myself, and I rewrote it a little bit and changed some specific details, and I directed it myself. And me and the producer of the film went on to start a mental health organization called Sun Show to premiere the event. And we created that organization and premiered it with Stella's Place for the first time. And that's how I got introduced to all these lovely, beautiful people. And it was such a labor of love because we had gone to a lot of different organizations, and Stella's Place, Dagmar specifically, me and Lauren literally consider you our mental health mom because you really, really, really believed in us. And we were like, we kind of have this idea for this event, and we have no money and we have no funding, but we feel like it would be important. And Dagmar was like, I believe in you. You can use our space. And we were like, okay. And it ended up being a roaring success. And we were able to raise, I think we personally raised $500 in ticket sales, and then vendors kicked in some things as well. And we had over 150 people attend the event and premiere the film, and it was so beautiful and it was so moving. And we had a BIPOC panel after, led by Asante, another peer worker at Stella's Place, who's wonderful, wonderful, wonderful.
He's amazing.
Impeccable. I'm his number one fan.
We're giving you your flowers, Asante.
I'm his number one fan. But it was amazing to watch, especially because the film is very much my story, but it's told through the eyes of a Black man. And I wanted that to be done, and it was done very intentionally because Black men and men in general do not talk about mental health. They don't have the even knowledge to talk about it because men aren't given the tools to even be in touch with their emotions and talk about their emotion. That's something that I feel the world is slowly starting to navigate and break down that toxic masculinity. But that's a whole other conversation. But for this film, it was just very, very important to me to represent mental health in all of the ways that I felt it was lacking. And for example, my father, we had a conversation years ago where he was like, your mental health literally isn't real. You're fine. There's actually a scene in the movie that's a direct quote of things that he said to me. And it's a very traumatic scene. It's one of the most triggering scenes for our protagonist. And after he watched the film, I saw it like click in him. And all the conversations we've had about mental health since have been so beautiful. And he became my number one supporter. And even my sisters and I, all my siblings, I have two sisters. I'm the middle child. I'm obsessed with them. I love them so much. But we all, unfortunately, were really hit with this pandemic. And he very much spearheaded us all getting the treatment we needed and the help that we needed. And I'm getting emotional, but having that 180 happen and knowing that an event that I put on with the help of Stella's Place to premiere a movie that I made was like the source of that change in at least one person is huge to me. And that's the whole point. So I'm lucky enough to reap the benefits of it, but I have heard from other people who attended the event that they have had similar experiences within themselves or with their peers. And it's just kind of what it's all about. So I'm super excited for this film festival because I think what happened at my event, the magic that happened there is going to happen on such a larger scale. So I'm super excited and super honored to be a part of it.
Wow. Wow, 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 wow. Like, yay! I'm like, now, people, you just heard about only two of the films at the film festival. Both are love stories. Michelle writing a love story to her daughter, and Sarah is talking about a love story to herself and to your family. And the fact that your father turned around after seeing this is so awesome, and especially coming from the Caribbean community and the Black community, where it's like, for those who don't know, we don't even say cancer, they say the C word. They don't say cancer, we say the C word. you know when you talk about, mental health has a stigma all over, but I know growing up in Trinidad, it's just, you call somebody crazy instead of, and mad. And so when you said changing that narrative, Michelle, of madness, literally in Trinidad, the mental health hospital was called the madhouse. Can you believe it? So imagine, you don't want to even, where are you going? The stigma, the that you're abnormal. But we don't criticize people if they break their leg, or they have a cancer. As I say, it's one of the best things I can say. When your body does what it does, it does what it does.
Yeah.
And so for you two to write this, and for all the filmmakers, if let me tell you, you people, you better tune in. You better tune into this film festival. I just want to give you some more of your flowers. Um, thank you all so very much. These conversations are so necessary, and I'm grateful to all of you. And that's coming in from YouTube. Ebony says, yes, it's tough to be Black and speak about mental health. It truly is. And it's one of the reasons why, even having these conversations and curating Wednesdays and calling it Minding Our Minds, and because we all need to mind our minds and think about our wellness, because if we're not mentally, our mental health is connected to our physical health, and not every day is going to be super duper. And everybody who tries to look on Instagram or social media and think that, yeah, that smiling face may not be smiling when it comes off.
Exactly.
Yeah, comes off the air. Okay, so before I go back to Alex, I'm gonna try and play this little trailer here. Let's see if it's gonna cooperate. Hold on. Let's see here. There we go. Love it. That's the trailer, folks, for the Get Real Film Festival. And so, Alex, tell us about the other films that are going to be at the film festival, because I know, you're one of the gurus working behind the scenes. Every time I hear Dagmar talking, well, Alex, Alex, we're gonna have to have your names in lights, and I'm declaring this film festival has to get some awards. Anybody listening to this, and you are connected to the media, you're connected to anybody in film, you're connected to anybody in the government. I don't care where you're connected. You need to share this. If we say mental health matters, if we say our young people matter, this is a festival that next week everybody needs to be glued, signed in, and get a ticket. We'll tell you how to get a ticket in a minute, but you need to get a ticket to this film festival and have your friends watch it. It is mandatory that you do this. So Alex, tell us about the rest of the films at the film festival, please.
Yeah, for sure. So on Monday, we're going to be screening Connecting the Dots. So this is a film that looks at youth mental health around the world, including Toronto, New York, Rio de Janeiro, and a whole bunch of other cities across the world, and looking at the similar experiences that young people have. And then on Tuesday, we'll have 4 short films. They'll be on a variety of topics, but some are including masculine vulnerability and mental health in Indigenous communities. And then on Wednesday, of course, we have Michelle's amazing movie as well. On Thursday, we have Sarah's amazing movie. And then on Friday, we have a film that is featuring one of our community members as well. And it's a film that follows the story of 2 queer Asian couples living in Toronto, and it tells the story of their lives through their old family photos of when they were children. So it's a very beautiful and moving movie. And then as well, we'll have a photographer speaking and narrating over this video that he shot of some Black men dancing in a studio and talking about how important masculine vulnerability is as well. So yeah, we have a lot of topics that we'll be covering, and I hope to see everyone out watching this there as well. And as Sarah said before too, you know, these films bring up so many conversations with our loved ones and in our own communities. I know after watching Drunk on Too Much Life, I was just like thinking about it for hours. I was like talking about it with my whole family afterwards, and I'm just really excited for how, like, to see how all of these films will move people in different ways. So yeah, and thank you so much for having us on this podcast to promote it.
So I don't know if you can realize that I am frozen on my screen, but you guys, I can still hear you and I can still see you. So can you tell people, Alex, how people can get tickets for the festival? Hopefully you can hear me, even though you can't see me.
Yes, I can hear you. I can see you a little bit too. But yeah, anyone can sign up for any of the films individually, or they can buy a pass that will get them all access. The passes are $30, and the films are free or pay what you can for individual films. So it's very accessible for anyone who wants to join. They can do so however they see fit. If they want to watch a few films throughout the week or attend every night and buy a pass for the entire thing. Yeah, we'll hope to see you all there.
And if I understand that you can also do like do you have a pay what you can part as well?
Yes, yeah. All the films are free or pay what you can.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much for that. And the proceeds from the festival, where does that go to?
They go directly to Stella's Place, to our programming, to ensure that we can continue offering free services for young people.
Great. And Dagmar, I know on the Tuesday is the workshop. Can you tell us about the family to family workshop on the Tuesday?
Yes, that, as I said, it's a fairly new offering. And it's a workshop that is, depending on attendance, will be either a webinar style or a more interactive workshop, depending on how many people are signing up. At this point, we have about 10. At that number, it will be a more intimate workshop with a lot of interaction. Otherwise, it will be a webinar style workshop that will talk about it will be led from the lived experience of the facilitators, two very experienced facilitators who are both members of the Family Advisory Council. And they will talk about, it will start off with sort of common experiences that many family members experience when they first are confronted with a diagnosis or a serious problem in their family, when, so it will talk about common reactions, which tend to be a range of emotions, usually a lot of anger and fear and frustration and sometimes hopelessness, and
Yes.
then they go into, from there they go into best practices, what parents who have done this for a long time, what they have learned. And it's informed by feedback from our young adult council. So we have had focus groups with our young people who have told us what they liked in their interactions with parents. So it's very interesting that you're bringing this up, Sarah. So our young people have told us very clearly what has worked for them and what hasn't. And so parents so far who have attended the workshop have found that very, very useful and very helpful. And certainly for us, it was, yeah.
Sorry, it definitely was, because I remember being part of the pilot and I was just so impressed with the information that I had never had before. And, I just learned so much at the workshop. So if anybody wants to get be a part of the workshop, a family member, how can they sign up for the workshop?
The easiest is to go through our website. If you look at the schedule for the film festival, the website is www.stellasplace.ca. It's right on the homepage. You can go to the festival schedule there, and it's easy to sign up for the workshop that way. We're also putting advertisements on all of our social media channels. So you go to our Facebook page, you will find a way to sign up there, LinkedIn and Twitter, I believe. I don't think it's on Instagram.
So please follow Stella's Place on Instagram, on Twitter, on Facebook, and go to the website. And I know there's one more thing that I saw that's coming out that one can support Stella's Place by. And tell us about those masks. Do you have any there with you?
Alex, are you going to speak
Dagmar?
to them? This is Alex's design. A brand new Stella's Place face mask in two different.
Oh, this is Alex's design. Oh,
yes, our Alex, who is a designer.
So Alex, you can talk while she demonstrates.
I only did the design. Dagmar did all of the organizing and ordering and everything, but we will be selling these masks as well.
The mask is like, it's a donation, right? And then that's how that works.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. So every purchase of the mask will also go towards programming at Stella's Place as well.
It's considered a donation to our programming. You will receive a tax receipt for $25, but we're charging $35 for it. So $10 is the cost of the mask, and $25 will be a donation to Stella's Place. And you all need them. And
there's a limited supply. Yes. I have mine on order. So you need to go get your mask and support Stella's Place. Is there any other way that people can support Stella's Place and get involved with Stella's Place? Are you looking for volunteers?
We currently don't have an official volunteer program. It's also quite difficult to onboard volunteers during the pandemic. We use volunteers on an as-needed basis, on a skills basis. So if we need a particular skill, we will have volunteers. But at this point, yeah, as I said, we have several in the fundraising and development department, because we always need volunteers there. If anybody likes to help fundraising, we will gladly find a way to onboard you, even virtually. And other than that, on our website, it's very easy to donate to Stella's Place.
I like the fundraising part. So if you know anybody corporate who has some money, or if you know anybody private who has some money that say they want to invest in youth and that find youth is important and mental health is important, please, please, please have them consider Stella's Place. And so as we wind down this awesome interview, and I'm just so grateful to each of you for coming on here tonight. It's just been so awesome, and I hope people will tune into the film festival, attend the film festival. Um, I'm going to say to each of you, and we start with Dagmar, then we go to Stella, then we'll go to Michelle, and so forth. And let me know, what does victory in your life look like to you? Go, Dagmar. You're on first.
Why do I always have to be first? I feel like
because you're on the top of my screen. You're on the top of my screen. Or we can go backwards. Okay, we can do Alex first.
Victory is finding a way to authentically realize the highest possible version of yourself and act that every day.
I love that. I love that. Stella?
I don't know.
I ask hard questions, I know.
You do ask hard questions. It's like it's your job or something. I don't know. I think just sort of being able to get through every day and, not regretting, being able to pull something positive out of a day, or, I say this like I do this, but I don't always do that. So that maybe, that's harder to do than it is to say. But I think just continuing to learn and to see where you fit and where you fall in the world and the communities around you. It's ever changing and scary and amazing. And I don't know, just it's sort of, I guess, being kind and flexible, but learning where to sort of put yourself first.
I love that answer. And you see, when I ask the question of victory, so many people like victory and success, this really big, impossible thing. And I always say that victory, one of the things I say about victory, all big thing that is so intimidating. What about you, Michelle? What does victory look like to you?
Kind of like along lines of Dagmar and Stella, and I'll just add, because what they said is so beautiful. But I really honestly believe that victory is when all lives are equal, like all human beings are treated on this planet with respect and dignity and have human rights, and honestly, like just love, basically, that we have true love. Like we always say we live in a world that's equal, but we don't. We don't live in that world. And so true victory is when we live in that planet where all lives are equal.
I so love that. And go ahead, Michelle. I think I interrupted you.
Oh, no, I was just that's all. Like I look at what's happening, even like a small thing with not small, but like in India with, like, we should just make the vaccine. Just we should just send the vaccine there. Why are we not? Right? That's just one small example.
Yeah, countries need to come together and really support one another. Totally. And Sarah, what does victory look like for you, beloved?
Everyone very much addressed the micro and the macro that I totally agree with. But I guess in my everyday life, victory is just celebrating little wins. Victory is looking in the mirror and being like, "You're great." After I brush my teeth, brushing my teeth is hard some days. Victories is catching myself, telling myself I love myself for no reason, just because I felt like I needed to hear it. Victory is actually eating 3 meals a day. It's just celebrating the little wins throughout the day, because I recognize that there was a time when I wasn't eating at all and I couldn't brush my teeth, and just understanding that every single day, it won't always be easy. I'll always have this thing that I have to live with, but it's a thing that is trying to help me. And it just sometimes comes out in harmful ways. But anxiety and depression is really just trying to protect you. And the
Yes.
reason why it's a problem is because half the time there's no actual thing that's coming to attack you. And so being in fight or flight doesn't make sense. But it's really just another way of your body being like, I love you and I want you to be safe. So it's just giving myself grace. Victory is today me waking up and being like, I don't want to do work today, so I'll compromise and do my work in my bed. It's just very much meeting myself halfway and recognizing the little wins throughout the day and throughout the week so that the next week is easier. Or when I am in a low moment, brushing my teeth has been more exciting. So it's just setting myself up for success in that way, I guess. That's victory for me.
That is it. That is just like one of the biggest things right there. And I call my bed office. I'm just saying. Those days when I can't get out of bed, it's my bed office. I'm sitting and I'm working from my bed office. And Alex, what does victory look like to you?
I would agree with everything that's been said here. I was also going to say celebrating the little things as well, but I also think crafting meaningful relationships in our lives and nurturing them as well. And yeah, I think you can have like all sorts of accomplishments in your life, but if you don't have meaningful relationships that you actively are working on, then yeah, I think that's just like one of the most important things. So I think that's what victory looks like for me.
I love all your answers because to me, that's a culmination of victory right there. A culmination right there. So does anyone have anything else they would like to share about mental health or about Stella's place before we go? The floor is yours. Anybody? This is round robin or the wild robin or whatever it is. You can go. Anybody can say anything else that we just need to say before we wrap up tonight.
I just wanted to add. Oh.
No, you can go. You go.
It's just really quick. I just wanted to add to what you said when I was after. Of course, I went and then I was like, oh, I said all the wrong things. I should have said these things. Blah blah blah. Of course. Don't even know what I said. Like, oh, I hate brushing my teeth. And sometimes, if I brush my teeth, that's a freaking win. You know?
Yes.
And like victory can change like day to day, year to year, second to second, whether you know what it is or not. So,
well, I love it. It is so true. It is so true. So who was going next? Who was going to add to the conversation?
All I was going to say to add to Stella's points was a good thing that she went first because it's a good segue. It's just, I just want to remind everybody, even people watching at home and all of you lovely people in this chat with me, to just give yourself grace. I used to be very, very hard on myself. And on days when I wanted to, for instance, work in bed, I was like, no, you can't work in bed. That's not responsible. I forced myself to do this thing and it only made it worse. And just honestly, just meeting yourself halfway and being like, you know what? I feel like today sucks. And the only way today won't suck is if I work in bed with a tub of Ben & Jerry's and that's my breakfast. And that's what I'm going to do. And when you do those things and you do those things knowingly, when you decide to stay in bed for yourself and don't let yourself stay in bed because you can't move, it switches the narrative in your head. And suddenly what started with me working in my bed this morning ended with me.
Oh, is everybody frozen? Okay. I love how Stella moved like this. I think.
Yeah, we got a little frozen. We got a little frozen for a second. Are we all frozen?
I know. I have to move sometimes. Like, am I the only one? I don't know.
Okay, I think we all got frozen for a minute. You know what? It's Rogers tonight. It is Rogers tonight, and I think we're going to have to come back and continue more of this conversation because I think we really need to get into after the film festival, talk about mental health, talk about some of the strategies and what we can do with young people, talk about some of the programming at Stellars. And I hope that people are hearing me right now, because some of us are frozen, some of us are not, and the Wi-Fi is acting up, and the hard thing is acting up. But this is what happens when you're doing a virtual show. So for everybody who tuned in tonight, I'm so grateful for you. I want to just thank Stella, Dagmar, Alex, Sarah, and Michelle for coming into the show tonight. Um, and for I hope you all tune into the Get Real Film Festival. Go to the website, go to stellasplace.ca and register. I am Nicole Waldron, your voice of victory and your mental fitness coach. Please follow me on Instagram and on Twitter and on YouTube at Victory Speaks 7. Next week, Monday, we'll have a great show for you. We're heading up into Mother's Day. Saturday, we have a great show coming up with Gary Beals and Love Moore and Rudy Rayon and Danny Stone at 7 p.m. I'll put that on my computer, and hopefully you were able to hear all the broadcast tonight. And thank you for tuning in. Take care, and wishing everybody all the best. And hopefully we can get this one to end, and the computer will do what it's supposed to do.
Thank you, Nicole, so much. That was wonderful. Thanks so much for having us.
Oh, we
Thank
lost
you all,
her.
you guys.
Oh my
no.
God.
Thank you. Is Nicole still there? Oh, this was. Did you have as much fun as I
We're
did?
backstage now, okay?
She'll see it in the recording. Thanks, Nicole, for having us.
I know. I was going to say thank you. Oh, this was fun, huh?
Yeah, that was fun.
Oh, we're still live.
Are we really? Okay. I think it was still live. Okay. Well,
Well, should we?
Dagmar, you're the spokesperson today.
Sarah is stuck backstage. I think we elegantly end this show then.
Yes, that was
right?
beautiful.
I would just invite everyone to come and meet our community. Come and learn more about the Stella's Place community, imperfect as we are, both online and offline.
Exactly. Thank you guys for having me. See you guys.
Thanks
Okay.
so much.
3,
Bye.
2,
Bye.
1.
Well, folks, my computer shut down in the middle of the live, and the Wi-Fi broke down in the middle of the live. So thank you for everyone who tuned in. Thank you for the folks again at Stella's Place. Sorry we had to end so abruptly. Thank you for everybody who tuned in. And I thank you all for your patience and your understanding. Sorry for the glitches. And we'll have to do this again. I'm going to bring them all back, and we will try this again. And you, everyone, have a good night. Thank you, Sarah. Thank you, Alex. Thank you, Dagmar. Thank you, Michelle. You were amazing. And you know what? In everything, find a victory, find the opportunity in the crisis. And the opportunity was, we had a great conversation tonight. You learned about a great film festival, the Get Real Film Festival, happening next week in Mental Health Week here in Toronto, and get to learn about mental health. And remember, your mind is your brain, and your brain is your mind. You are the victory. Let your victory speak. Thank you for tuning in.